So I recently closed an $800 client and my joy knows no bounds. But the thing is that it has all been possible because of the sales techniques and tricks I have learned with time. I still remember my first client. After the sales call, she said to me that I was not very good at communicating. I lacked the hearing skills, listening skills, empathy kind of skills, and a lot more, which I eventually worked upon in order to improve it. In this video, I'm gonna share you all of my high ticket closing sales secrets, which have helped me always be on the higher end when it comes to closing good clients. I have been actively rejecting all of the low paying clients coming up to me in order to get their work done because of numerous factors. One of them is that affordability is not a thing. I am only targeting to premium clients because my services are premium, right? So there are a lot of things which come into play. High ticket closing only takes a good strategy in place, a good offer in place, and you to have the right sales skills, and that's it. Firstly, let's understand what are the things that you're doing wrong in your sales pitches, which are stopping you from getting close in order to close the deal. One of them is no ask, no sale. You cannot expect the client to come ahead and just be willing to swipe their card in order to get you the payment. No, it doesn't happen that way. Until you ask them, it is always going to be a no. And if you are willing to fail and to hear a no, you will be surprised at how many offers and deals you can start closing just because of the fact that you start asking. Until you ask, the answer is only going to be no. So in order to close that gap, in order to reach closer to that, you have to be firstly willing to showcase the kind of uh, to showcase the value your offer holds and how it can help that person go from point A to point B, and how it's premium. The number one reason that people fail at closing is to never go ahead and ask, never attempting that. You have to be willing to be so strong at your offer and so much trusting at your offer that you know that if they are not buying from you, they are losing out on something. And the next thing is no perseverance. I agree, it for some salespeople it feels like being rude when they are going ahead to ask them or to push them closer to the deal. But trust me on this, you can stay professional and still urge your clients in order to go ahead with the deal, because you are not just doing a sale, you are helping them with a problem. You are helping them get closer to a solution through the kind of work you do. So it's very much important to stick to it, to convince them or have that kind of perceiving nature for them to understand the value of the deal you have and how it can help them. Basically, it's your job to get them to the finish line. And the third and most important one is not handling reactions. Your client will be reacting in different ways. It might be a thing that they are unwilling to go ahead just because of the high pricing or a lot of things. It's firstly important for you to acknowledge them. Next, be calm. Continue to persist them to the close. Now, this doesn't mean that it has to sound boring. No, you can keep telling the qualities or the features which are unique in your offer and which can help them solve this particular problem. When you are stable at your point, when you are not willing to change your opinions or the pricing at your part, you know your customer directly senses the kind of confidence you have developed, and that's truly powerful. The fourth one, be your product's number one fan. The biggest mistake people make while closing a deal is to not have faith in their own saying. You have to be confident enough with the kind of work you are delivering or the services you offer, and that's when the client can trust you too, right? You have to be your product's biggest fan. I agree, with time sometimes that fades away. Sometimes it happens that you might lose love for your product, and for a lot of reasons. It's even suggested to keep reigniting that, to keep it up. But the thing is that you have to be 100% confident, and you need to ask yourself the question, if you wouldn't buy your product, how could you expect your customer to buy that. You have to be your product's biggest fan and be always willing to take its side to be able to tackle all the questions that come in its way for them to get assured about the thing they are willing to make a purchase for. Next thing is not being prepared. You have to be very prepared. You have to know all the A to Z about the product you are selling, and the thing is you have to be ready to tackle all kinds of questions you have had. I know it takes time, it takes you some practice to deal with some of the clients in order to answer the questions in that way, but what helps is your focus on being able to listen, understand what is going on in their mind, and sticking to the things that you say. And next thing is not being reasonable. Yes, you have to be reasonable. Now I agree, making high ticket sales takes a lot of efforts, and sometimes it even comes down to the question that why is it so much high priced. But you have to be reasonable with every aspect of it. You have to be willing to, in order to put it up, that you cannot expect cheap services in order to drive you premium results. Most often it does not happen, and there is a reason why this is priced at this particular point in order to help you get the best results. Personally, I notice the more I do, I realize the more I can do. So it's important to stick to the kind of work you want to do and deliver. No financial planning. I I urge you to do this. You have to be understanding of how much of amount you're going to lose when you do not do a sale in 1 week, 1 month, or even 1 year. You don't even understand the kind of value you are losing out on that. When you have your finances planned, when you know what's the number that you're going to hit, and your goals are very clear, you know about what you are doing and are very clear with your approach. And the next is not handling objections. Yes, the client will have a lot of objections, a lot of questions around why they should go ahead, and what will be the exact change that they can expect, but you have to be willing to answer all those. You cannot take it all as a complaint, but you will have to be very straightforward and very much clear with what you are offering and why is it going to change their life for sure. It's not like you have to say them a clear no whenever there's something bad, but the thing is that firstly acknowledge them. Acknowledging someone is very different from agreeing with them, right? So firstly acknowledge them, understand what's going on in their mind, and be ready to tackle all the objections head on. And the last one is no accountability. You have to understand the client had active interest in your product, and that's why they chose to walk up to you. And even after getting you explain all of that, if they are walking away without sealing the deal, there is something wrong with your way of closing it. Sometimes we hear people saying that guy was cheap, they are not unclear about what they are expecting, and a lot of such things. But you can only change it when you start taking 100% accountability of it. When you start thinking of it this way, that it did not happen because of me, I have to change my approach, and that's when things start changing. You have to be understanding that they walked up to you with a problem, and you could be the one who could solve that particular thing. All you needed to do was to showcase your product in a way to tell about the qualities which can help them change the kind of perspective they have about this and go ahead to make a purchase. Now these are all the mistakes which I usually kept making in the initial days, but I eventually learned it, and I also want you to avoid these mistakes which basically come up our way. And the next up are all the things that you need to know to get a step closer to make that sale. See, you have to agree, Indian societies, and at least our society, has made making sales such a big issue because of the thing that matlab, there is something wrong with it, and I don't know why is it considered kind of a taboo thing. But you have to understand that even if you do a job, when you want to impress a girl, you will go ahead and buy a purse worth even 50,000 or 1 lakh, and then go ahead to impress her, right? That's where you are going to purchase that only because you have developed that kind of understanding of that particular brand, that kind of credibility they have built in the market. So there is nothing wrong with making a sale. That's how businesses are going on. That's how you are able to use technology and continue with all the resources that you have and you actually need. So sales is not a bad thing. Until and unless you change your own perception about sales, you are not going to get or close better deals. Let's get started with all the things that you need to know in order to grab the best deals and to tackle all the objections that come head on when you are going ahead with a high ticket offer. 1. Sell to close from the beginning. There is a reason why I believe in always be closing. From greeting the customer to actually negotiating it till the end, all it takes is for you to be understanding of the offer and dominate a hard close. All it takes for you is to be confident enough with your approach. A simple exercise that you can do is to firstly practice it. Understand all the objections that could arise, how you can answer them, and how you can be confident even when you do not have an answer to the kind of question that particular person raises. All you need to have is a confidence and be willing to close, be willing to sow the seeds where your customer finds it hard to lose out on you by moving back. The close is everything. It's the only point through which you and your customer both can benefit. You have to be understanding that your client needs you more than you need them, right? Because you are actually offering them the solution to the kind of pain point they have. 2. Present a written proposal. No matter how much you are clear about what you have to offer, you have cleared all of the deliverables, but the client always takes it lightly until it is present in front of them in written. That's when it becomes real to them. There is very much power in a piece of paper and everything written hands on, because that's when they know it's real what they were actually hearing all this while, and now they have the opportunity to go ahead and make this work out in their favor. So yes, make sure you have a proposal lying in wherein you have basically mentioned all of the things you have talked about, all of the deliverables you are going to give them, and that basically builds that credibility that this is something valuable, this is something worth going ahead with, because it's a sign, right? So and yes, there is one thing that you need to avoid while going ahead with a contract or agreement, and that is to always have a pen and paper ready. Why I'm saying this is because once I had basically closed a deal with a client, and they were very much hot and cold throughout the deal, but at the end I closed them very well. And just because I told them that I'll be sending the contract within the next hour, and it took me like 4 or 5 hours to send the contract, and by then this person had almost changed their mind. So always be ready with the contract or agreement as soon as they agree with you, because you never know when they're going to change their mind. But once they have signed up with you, then they know that they have done something worthwhile, and it is going to be helpful to them and to you as well. And 3, give the price upfront. Yes, I know you have been multiple times told about having different kind of ranges for your prices, having 3 or 4 offers, and ways of subscription. I agree, that's all fine, but you have to be very transparent when putting up the pricing you are going to charge for this particular thing. Why? Because it firstly helps build credibility, and the client knows that you are very transparent with the kind of pricing you are going ahead with. If they have some objections around it, they will raise it head on, and you will be able to tackle it then and there. But what happens when you do not mention the pricing and you just go on with the agreement and share all the pricing and all later? Because no one is going to go ahead to pay you something which is just written on the paper, and they haven't even heard about it, because it doesn't assure you about whether what you were talking about and what is mentioned here is the same thing, right? So it's very important, in order to yourself go ahead and upfront put the pricing for them to understand that, and then go ahead, because that's when you know the client is almost closed. They just need to sign the deal and it will be going ahead. Trust me, this is game changing, because most often pricing is the only thing which is why your client will go back. So it's very important for you to tackle it then and there. If even if you do not have a very clear range, you can give them a particular range, that this is the range within which it varies, and you can take the customized approach as per what your needs are. And yes, you can tackle all the problems that they will have around it, and there are very high chances you will be able to close them. 4. Address the hard questions the right way. You have to be willing to handle all the questions coming up your way. And next, and you have to be understanding about who is the decision maker. If there is something that is stopping them back, maybe go ahead and ask them what is it that is stopping you from going ahead with this. Create that sense of urgency in the negotiation stage. Tell them that you have even more people in the pipeline and how you get sold out on this. You only take up, show that scarcity mindset when putting up your offer. That builds that sense of in people's minds that when something is scarce, that means it's very much valuable. So maybe try doing that, and basically position them in a way as to tackle and answer all of the questions they have. Basically get them agree with you on the particular points, to show them the value, and overall help them with the deal. So basically you have to take them every step ahead with the kind of close, and it all has to revolve around how they are getting helped around it, and not around how you are going to make that sale or going to make that money. It has to be about the value you generate, the value and the tangible results they can expect, and not just about the money you are going to get. And the fifth one, use a bit of humor and storytelling. Now, I cannot explain this more, but the thing is that when the client finds you more on a humor end, that's when they relate with you the most, because this involves more of the creativity, impeccable delivery. That's when they find you more interesting. And when you relate it with yourself, something something very much away from politics, or targeting someone or making fun of someone. No, it has to be something which is just light-hearted, which just brings an instant smile to their face, or something which just makes them chuckle. That's it. So yes, it could be something like revolving around your own story. That's when they find you interesting. And the next thing it does is it makes them feel good. When you make them feel good about themselves, that's when they trust you more, and they are more willing to go ahead with you. 6, agree with them. Now, I'm not saying you that saying yes to all of that, but the thing is, always, always, always agree with whatever they are saying. Just acknowledge it, and that doesn't mean for you to follow that, right? Just acknowledge that and see if there are any chances for them to change their opinions, or if you have something more relevant than what they are saying, or if there are some misconceptions which they have in their mind, which could be broken if you go ahead with your offer and speak of that. 7th, there are some phrases which you should never be using when in your sales and deal, and one of them is never, we won't, nothing like that, we are competitive, good deal. So basically what these do is that these direct a negative feeling. They show, the word competitive shows that you are just competitive from the market, but you do not have to do that. You have to be dominating the market. So that's how you should position it. And the next thing about no, we won't, that shows that you are disagreeing with the client, and that doesn't have to be it. You have to agree with them, you have to be confirming them, you have to say positive words and avoid using, even if you are disagreeing, you have to not use or start the sentence with no. You have to firstly agree with them and then put on your opinion or the way you perceive that. 8, you have to dominate their objections. Now, there are multiple ways to do it. It is not like you imposing your beliefs on them. I would suggest this to be broken down into 3 steps. One of them is time, and the second one money, and the third one stall or product. So what is it about time? Firstly, understand why is it that they want to extend the time for taking decision on this. And if that seems fine to you, maybe tell them or ask them that whether or not you would like to discuss this within the next 2 or 3 days, or within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Most probably they will choose the 2 or 3 days option, and this basically clarifies about the time frame within which you will connect next, and you can discuss about this to close this, right? Most often, if you have made that impact through the sales technique which I told you before, that's when they develop a positive impression of you, and even they know that if you are willing to help them out, that's when you are the right person, and they build that trust on you. So maybe try this. And the next one is about money. So most often money will be the thing which will ask them to back off. Maybe they will tell you that we will revert back later, something around that. But you have to understand that if it is about money, there is something that's holding them back which they don't want to discuss. So when they ask you whether they wish to discuss this later, go ahead and ask them what is it that's exactly stopping them. Most often they will tell you an answer, and trust me, they do. And then even if that is something which you could agree on or disagree on, maybe tell them about how or why is it priced this high, and what are the results that they can expect differently from anyone else in the market, right? So basically show them the value which you could deliver, and that's the reason you are pricing this premium. And the next one is about the stall or product. So in case they are uncertain about whether or not they need this product, if they tell you that they will go down the market and check it with someone else, or maybe they will connect or ask with someone else, so you can ask them that if provided you wanted that particular thing, and if I had that, what else would you be willing to check? That's when they know, and you have already put them in a situation where they know what they were expecting and what they are getting, and next they could explain you about what are the things that they are expecting out of it. So maybe you could tackle those particular things through your offer. There are a lot of ways in order to handle the objections, to get them a step closer at every point towards the sale. And trust me, it's very interesting once you learn it. And 9, ask again and again. I agree it sounds a bit more persisting and more salesy side, but no, you're not just making a sale, you're basically helping them out, and you never know what asking one more time will do to you. So you can't fail if you don't quit. So you have to be very clear with what you are doing and how it's helping them out. Maybe ask them one final time that when is it that we are connecting next, or maybe tell them how you're looking forward to working this out together, or how much of a change in their lifestyle, or in whatever way they are going to take out of this, and how it can benefit them to bring even more luxury or more comfort or more of the time saving thing in their life by choosing you and your product. So I think these are all that sum up the real sales skills which can help you become better at this thing called sales. Trust me, it's a very interesting thing. I agree there will be rejections at points, but once you learn this art of sales closing, even with high ticket deals, you can nail it all. And trust me, people are looking for premium services. They are looking for services or things which can help them solve their particular problem. All you need to do is to present it as a solution, and they will be going ahead with that. And that's it. If you really like this video, if you really got to learn something out of this, I would suggest you to check out my next videos which will be popping up on the screen. Thank you so much.